Hello everybody and welcome back to the movie room. My name is Deck and in today's video we'll be going over and discussing and doing my reaction to the 2020 Oscars, which was of course the 92nd Academy Awards. I'm just going to be going through all of them on my phone one by one, going through the categories and just saying what I thought of them and how the event actually played out. I mean, I think the event overall was actually rather surprising. It actually went in a direction I didn't expect. I very much in my predictions had a certain narrative that the Oscars were going to push towards, but they actually went in the opposite direction, which really surprised me, which made this award season, and in particular this event, feel really fun, because I was going through the awards this morning, actually looking at them going, damn, that actually surprised me. But I am going to start off by saying things like live action short film, documentary short subject, documentary feature. I'm not going to be talking about them just because I didn't really see any of them. I mean, documentary feature, I did see For Sama, which was nominated, which is fantastic. But American Factory did win that, which I've not seen, so I can't really comment on that. Original song went to I'm Gonna Love Me Again from Rocket Man. Yeah, this didn't surprise me, really. I mean, this is Elton's second Oscar, and also, you know, they weren't really going to turn down a chance to have Elton at the Oscars, were they? So that doesn't really surprise me. Original score went to Hilda Guten... I can never pronounce her last name. Joker. It went to Joker. Yeah, not a surprise for me either. I think that Joker has been sweeping this award all across award season, so it didn't really surprise me, and it is a good score. I really like the score from Joker. It is very good. It was up against, you know, like The Rise of Skywalker, which, you know, is always a big thing for John Williams, but I think that, you know, out of the nominations, Joker, it's a good score. I really like it. It fits well with the movie, and it definitely has some really original bits to it, so I think that that makes a lot of sense there. Sound mixing went to 1917. This makes a lot of sense. 1917, a very technical movie, and also a war movie. Those two combined, Oscars love that, so that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I quite like 1917. I think that, you know, from a technical standpoint, it is a very well-made movie. I think it has issues in other places, but I think, you know, from a technical standpoint, similarly to Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk, I think actually not Dunkirk and 1917 have quite a lot of comparisons. I know people hate comparing that movie on Twitter, but I genuinely think they do have a lot of comparisons, and one of those comparisons is that they're both very technically well-made war movies, so I think giving them sound mixing makes a lot of sense. And by the way, this video is going to be no cuts, no edits. I'm just doing this off the cuff because I just want it to be more casual, more laid back, you know? Let's talk about the Oscars. Sound editing went to Ford v Ferrari. Now, this was an interesting prediction for me because I didn't know whether to give... You know, I thought 1917 was going to do very well in the sound categories, but I didn't know whether Ford v Ferrari would sneak in or not. I had a suspicion that it would, especially because obviously it did get a Best Picture nomination, so I did suspect that it would. So it did take sound editing, which does make a lot of sense. You know, I think that Ford v Ferrari as a movie, it does have a lot of, you know, sound in it. It is very much a sound movie, like as far as, you know, some of the more standout aspects, sound is very much a big part of that movie, so I do think that makes sense. And to share it with 1917 for editing, or mixing, sorry, yeah, it makes sense to me. Animated short film, I'm going to skip. Animated feature film went to Toy Story 4. Now, given the fact that I've been saying all day that the Oscars actually had balls this year, this is the one category where they did not. Toy Story 4, I have to say, I'm disappointed it won. If you saw my review for it, you'll know I wasn't a huge fan of Toy Story 4. I thought it was a wasted movie, and I felt like it was really poor on Pixar's level. I know a lot of people love Toy Story 4, and if you love it, that's great. I wish I could. I went into it so excited. It just really let me down. I don't think it's anywhere near the original 3, or even anywhere near some of Pixar's best movies. Especially when it is going up against things like How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, which I loved. I think that movie totally could have been nominated here, or even won. And also Klaus, which I think Klaus has been doing very, very well. And from what I've heard from all sources, is amazing. It feels a bit, you know, they were a bit, oh, let's just give it to Pixar, you know, let's just give it to them. We always do. Let's just give it to them. I mean, yeah, they gave it to Spider-Verse last year, but if they didn't, I think the Academy would have been lynched. So I think they were like, right, let's give it to Pixar. It's Toy Story. I mean, we nominated Toy Story 3 for Best Picture, for God's sake, so let's just give it to Toy Story 4. So it does feel a bit disappointing for them, but I guess it makes sense in some ways. Makeup and hairstyling went to Bombshell. This category is just a nightmare. Like, it throws everything off the rail every year because there's always something weird that just wins. Like, think about this. Bombshell is now an Oscar-winning movie. This is the same thing from 3 years ago when Suicide Squad is now an Oscar-nominated movie or Oscar-winning movie. Like, Suicide Squad has an Oscar. And now for Bombshell. Which, granted, Bombshell is definitely not as bad as Suicide Squad. And it's not a terrible movie, but the fact that it's just got an Oscar makes me laugh. But I mean, to be fair, what the work they did with Charlize Theron, it definitely is warranted. And I think that, you know, this is the same team, I believe, that did the makeup and hairstyling for Christian Bale on Vice last year. So this is their second year in a row winning. So, you know, it makes a lot of sense. And I think against the other categories, I mean, I think Judy maybe could have had a chance. But everything else, you know, it was really Bombshell's award. It really was. Costume design went to Little Women. That makes a lot of sense given the fact it's a period piece. The Oscars love those, especially when it comes to costume design. They're very easy awards to give to costume design just because they require the most costume design. So, you know, I think that makes sense. And the costumes of Little Women were absolutely beautiful. They were intricate and fantastic, really well made. So I think that makes a lot of sense for that. I'm really happy for that. Moving over to production design, this actually surprised me. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Now, this is actually what I wanted to win. I actually really was backing Once Upon a Time to win this award because I love the production design in that movie. I was fully convinced 1917 was going to get this. I was actually backing 1917 for a lot of these awards. Not personally, but just in my prediction. I really felt like 1917 was going to do very well here. But I was so happy to see Once Upon a Time take this. I think that was such an authentic looking movie. It really transported me into the 1960s. I really felt like I was in that movie. So, you know, them winning this award, I was really, really pleased with. So, I'm happy with that. Especially because I have been backing it all award season to win production design. I didn't think it was going to get it, and it did. So, I was really happy with that. Editing went to Ford v Ferrari. Yeah, no surprise here. I mean, you know, we all know that the Oscars, when it comes to editing, they just nominate the movie with the most editing, and Ford v Ferrari is the one with the most editing. I think there was a slim chance for Parasite here, but like I say, the Oscars, they just vote for the most editing. We saw that with Bohemian Rhapsody last year, and same thing here with Ford v Ferrari. I mean, Ford v Ferrari is nowhere near as obtuse with its editing as Bohemian Rhapsody was, but you know what I mean. There's still, it's the most kind of typical style editing that you see in Hollywood films. So I think that, you know, this winning, it makes a lot of sense. And the editing's fine in Ford v Ferrari, so that's good. International feature, otherwise known as the Parasite Award, went to Parasite. Yeah, no surprise there. Given how events played out, maybe it would have been nice to actually perhaps give this award to maybe Pain and Glory or something else, just because of, you know, how things played out. I mean, I'm sure you guys already know what won Best Picture, but I think that, you know, just for the sake of, you know, giving more love to more movies, you could have maybe given it to somebody else, but at the same time, it's completely deserving, so, you know, and it was always going to win that award. Visual effects, once again, just like the BAFTAs, went to 1917. I don't understand this. Like, when it won at the BAFTAs, I was watching the BAFTAs live, I just freaked out. I don't understand why 1917 is getting this award, especially when it's going up against other movies like Endgame and The Irishman. I don't understand why it's getting it, but whatever. I mean, again, I like 1917. I'm not hating against 1917. I like the movie, but it just surprised me to kind of see how it's getting all these visual awards when I don't really feel like it's a visual effects heavy movie. I mean, maybe that's why. Maybe they're just sort of saying like it did the most with so little, but I don't know. I just feel like when it's going up against something like Endgame, when you look at a character like Thanos who's completely CGI and you completely buy him, I don't know. I just feel like it's a bit, you know, weird not to nominate that. Cinematography went to my boy Roger Deakins for 1917. Now, this is kind of funny. I mean, every year, you know, I back Roger Deakins, you know, and I'm sort of saying, you know, and I look back at, you know, even before I was really into film, I kind of look back at the years of, you know, films that Roger Deakins has done, and, you know, I feel like, yeah, he should have won that year, he should have won that year. And, you know, while I'm so happy that Roger Deakins has got his second Oscar, I actually feel like for the first time ever, this was the one year I didn't actually want him to win. Again, I'm happy that he did, purely because it's Deeks, but I don't think 1917, as a film, should have gotten Best Cinematography. I think that should have gone to The Lighthouse. The Lighthouse just had absolutely phenomenal cinematography, but, you know, like I said, I'm happy for Deeks. I'm happy he got it. And I feel like the cinematography category this year has just been a complete shambles, because 1917 came out, they were like, right, there it is, there's our winner, let's give it to Deeks, and then everything else was just a second thought. Like, they gave it to Lighthouse, like, they gave a nomination to The Lighthouse, which was a good nomination, but then they snubbed things like The Two Popes and Midsummer. It's just, you know, everything else, like, you know, The Irishman, Joker, and Once Upon a Time, I look back at those movies, and I just don't think the cinematography stands out at all, so, you know, again, I'm really happy for Roger Deakins, because I just love him, I worship the man, so I'm glad that he got another Oscar, but, again, I actually think The Lighthouse should have won that award. Adapted screenplay went to Taika Waititi for Jojo Rabbit. Yeah, sure, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. It did win the BAFTA as well, and I think that, you know, I think maybe Little Women should have got this, especially because Greta Gerwig has been so snubbed throughout award season for Best Director. I think it would have made a lot of sense to give it to her, especially with the work that she's done with adapting the book to screen. Like, she made a lot of changes and stuff like that with the structure of the movie and how certain things played out. I think that her adaptation of the screenplay and adaptation of the book, I should say, is just a lot more impressive in comparison to what people like Taika did, and also Steve Zalian for The Irishman. I think there's just a lot more done with Little Women that makes it more of an adaptation than it was just bringing it to the big screen. There's a lot of confusion around the word adaptation, and I think that Greta Gerwig understands that. So I think that Greta Gerwig probably should have won this, but Taika, I mean, he's kind of been in the running for a little while now, so I think it kind of makes sense. But if I was voting personally, I would have gone for Greta Gerwig there. Original screenplay went to Bong Joon-ho for Parasite. This surprised me. This was the one award that truly threw me off, because I was so convinced Tarantino was going to get this. I really felt like Tarantino was going to get this. I'll probably link back to this after I've gone through the rest of them, just so I can tell you about my full sort of narrative prediction. But I'm so happy for Bong Joon-ho, to get Parasite here. Parasite is my favourite movie of the year so far. I absolutely love it. Obviously, it came out in 2020 here in the UK. I love Parasite, so to see it actually get original screenplay, especially in a movie that is in the foreign language, perfect. It's so good, and it's great to see Bong Joon-ho just living his life up at the moment. It's just really fun. Now moving over to the acting categories, I'll just move over these pretty quickly, because these categories have just been boring this year because they've just been the same throughout every show. So, supporting actor, Brad Pitt, yep, makes sense. Supporting actress, Laura Dern, Marriage Story, yep. And then we have Renee Zellweger for Judy, yep, and Joaquin Phoenix for Joker, yep. Again, they all make sense. Again, it's the same every time. And then for Best Director, again, shocked me, Bong Joon-ho for Parasite. I cannot believe how well Parasite is done. It's kind of insane to me that Parasite has just gone this far, especially with Bong Joon-ho now getting a director win. It's just awesome. It was really good. I mean, like I say, I actually thought Sam Mendes was going to get this award for 1917, but they didn't. They gave it to Bong Joon-ho, and I was really happy about that. So I can't complain about that at all. And then Best Picture, the big award of the night, went to Parasite, making absolute Oscar history. This is the first film not in an English language to win Best Picture. This was insane. I cannot believe they actually gave it to Parasite. I cannot believe they actually had the balls to give it to Parasite. Now, I do feel like them giving Best Picture to Parasite was a bit of a reactionary thing to last year, in the sense that obviously last year there was a very similar theme with Roma, in the sense that Roma went through, it got all these awards. It got editing, cinematography. Alfonso Cuarón even got a Best Director win. But then at the very last second, as everyone thought it was going to win Best Picture, Green Book comes in and does a huge upset and steals everything. Just steals it straight from Roma. I feel like this is a bit of a reactionary award, in the sense that they gave it, Parasite has had all these awards throughout the night, and then at the last minute they could have given it to something else. They could have given it to 1917, which, again, my prediction for Best Picture was 1917. But no, they had the balls and they gave it to Parasite, and I was so happy about that, because Parasite was probably the best movie on the Best Picture nominees. Probably that and Marriage Story, they were the two best for me. So I think that them two, if I had to choose a winner, it would have been between Parasite and Marriage Story, and I'm so happy that Parasite won. It was so fantastic. It's a brilliant film, and I love it. And, like I say, even though I do feel like it's a bit reactionary as an award, it just so happens that Parasite is truly deserving. I'm not saying, oh, they pandered to an audience and they just gave it to that award for, pandering's sake. While I do feel like there was a bit of that in there, like I say, it just so happens that in this occasion, Parasite is truly deserving of a Best Picture win. So it's not really as bad looking, because we can just look at it and go, well, it got a Best Picture win and it totally deserves it. So, like I say, it's kind of a two-way thing with Parasite winning Best Picture, but at the end of the day, it won the award, and I'm so happy it did. Now, I want to talk about how I completely threw off my prediction, because my whole prediction with this, I completely underestimated Parasite for the Oscars, because the way I thought it was going to go was, I thought the Academy wanted to give the Best Picture to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. However, they couldn't do that because they wanted to give Best Director to Sam Mendes, so they had a bit of an issue there. So I thought the way it was going to go is, instead of giving Tarantino Best Director, they would give him Best Original Screenplay, and then they would give Sam Mendes Best Director, which in turn then would lead 1917 to win Best Picture. However, that isn't what happened again. It was just completely thrown off for me when Bong Joon-ho went ahead and won Original Screenplay, and then came in again and won Best Director, which then led to Parasite winning Best Picture. It was just insane. Like I say, my nomination was completely thrown off because of the Original Screenplay win. I was so convinced Tarantino was going to get that, but he didn't, and I was so shocked. But you know, Parasite winning Best Picture, I cannot complain. If you see my review for Parasite, you'll know how much I love that movie, and you know, I think that this was a total deserving win. And I think that Parasite as a movie, like, it's so important to see this movie actually win Best Picture, because, you know, although I feel like this movie, you know, it's been very, you know, award heavy, you know, people have been aware of this movie, people have been talking about it, and I think that this has, you know, opened the eyes of people to sort of say, you know, there are some really good entertainment out there. If you know, Bong Joon-ho said it himself, if you know, open your eyes and get past subtitles, like, you know, over the past year and stuff, I've really been experimenting with more foreign film, and I think that once you do get past subtitles, you can realise there's so much great film out there that's just waiting for you to watch, and Parasite, I think, has just opened the world to that a little bit. And it's really nice to see that. And again, just seeing the cast and crew who have been working on this movie so hard, you can tell they're so passionate about this movie, seeing them rewarded in such a way, it's just really nice. So for me, overall, the Oscars, like I say, they were actually surprising, and I actually think they had some balls giving Parasite as many awards as it did. And I'm so happy that it did, except, you know, like I say, the one thing I just didn't like was Toy Story 4 getting Best Animated. Probably should have gone to something else. But other than that, I think that they got so many good awards here. So happy for Roger Deakins. Again, even though I would have given it to The Lighthouse, I'm happy to see Roger Deakins win another Oscar. And just seeing Parasite get as many awards as it did, it was really satisfying, because it was kind of a dark horse, really. It kind of came in and just stole the awards, and, you know, no one really saw it coming. Like I say, I was really expecting 1917, but luckily, Parasite really came through. So what did you guys think about the Oscars this year? Make sure to let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Were you happy with them? Were there any snubs, or were you angry? Let me know whatever you think in the comment section down below. And as always, guys, if you want to see more movie reviews and movie coverage just like this, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss an upload from me. And I hope to see you guys again next time.